So I think Pete Hegseth is in some serious trouble today, and he appears to be panicking. I want to go over what people are saying, and I also want to hear your thoughts. So first, this is Pete. He says, we have only just begun to kill narco-terrorists. Okay, that's coming from Pete Hegseth. We've only just begun to kill narco-terrorists. One of his supporters say, I voted for more. One of his opponents say, you are a war criminal. Okay, so what's going on here? Let me show you this. This is Congressman Liu, and he was served in the JAG, so he would know military law very, very well. It says here, I served as a JAG on active duty for 4 years and the reserves for 21. So just a long time. If the Washington Post report is true, then a war crime was committed. U.S. military cannot intentionally kill defenseless survivors. Simple analogy. Can military execute terrorists held at Guantanamo? No. And that's why it's like really whacked out when Hegseth's saying we have only just begun to kill narco-terrorists, so it doesn't seem to be denying it. Let me show you some more opinions on this stuff. This is actually the story that was out from the Washington Post and why everyone's reacting to it. From the Washington Post, it says, exclusive, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave an order to, quote, kill everybody in the first strike on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean. After 2 men survived, the mission commander ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions, according to 2 sources. And so this is the question, right? Did Hegseth give the order to kill everyone? And then literally he's tweeting out today, we have only just begun to kill. Here's Chris Murphy. What does he say? If you want to know why Hegseth is panicking about reminders that there is accountability for giving or carrying out illegal orders, it's likely because he knows he has given illegal orders to murder people. Now, if you've been following this story, basically, some senators and representatives made a video and they just said, do not follow illegal orders, right? I even say this on the channel as well. I've been saying all along with the Trump people, like, don't tie your name to Trump, do not follow legal orders, right? Which is, if you're not doing anything illegal, there's nothing to worry about. But from Trump and Hegseth, they start freaking out. Like, you can't say that. You can't say that. It's like literally that's what we're saying, like, don't follow illegal orders. And so this is why even, Murphy's pointed out, it's like, if you want to know why Hegseth is panicking about reminders that there's accountability for giving or carrying out illegal orders, it's likely because he knows he has given illegal orders to murder people, right? And also I want to point this out. And I know the timing is kind of strange this one, but it's all coming to, I guess you could say together if you want to say it that way. But South Park actually just made an episode about Pete Hegseth. Essentially, if you watch it, they portray him as being like a Rambo wannabe with the selfie stick. That's basically what it is, like a social media influencer who's just out to, take his picture, please like and subscribe kind of stuff, and just doing whacked out crap. They made fun of him that says acting like a tough guy, posting around the world, making lots of content like a little teenage girl. And more, if you watch the episode, they're making fun of him, saying your kids are going to see this, or your kids' friends are going to see it, and they're going to make fun of you, kind of stuff. And I think this stuff may, put some pressure on him. I think that stuff's real. I'm pretty sure his kids watch these things. Like you have to think of like it starts to add up. And then people are going to start asking questions, right? ABC is like, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is declining to comment on a report that he ordered the military to kill all passengers aboard a boat suspected of carrying drugs in the Caribbean Sea in September. All right, let's see what Hegseth has to say. So he has another statement here. He says, as usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland. Still doesn't seem to be denying it, though. I mean, I just literally that's his first sentence. Let's read more. As we've said from the beginning, and in every statement, these highly effective strikes are specifically intended to be lethal kinetic strikes. So I guess, again, we're talking about killing. The declared intent is to stop lethal drugs, destroy narco boats, and kill narco terrorists who are poisoning the American people. Every trafficker we kill is affiliated with the designated terrorist organization. So it just says like kill multiple times here. See, here's the thing. And I just want to talk it out with you guys. One of these boats is coming. They said it had like 11 people, that kind of boat, like the size of the boat. It's not a big boat, basically. And what they could do, they just blockade it and say, turn around. We're the United States Navy. You're not going to hurt us. I haven't seen any reports of where any of the boats are firing on the Navy. I haven't seen any. If you guys have seen some, let me know. But I haven't seen any of that. And if we wanted to stop the boats, we could just shoot out the engines, board the boat, take prisoners or whatever, show everyone all the proof of everything that's on the boat. But the way that it's playing out, it's been like, Hegseth and whoever's with him is like, no survivors, no evidence. And you can see how this is playing out. And this is why this thing becomes like really contentious. They keep claiming everything they're doing is legal, but okay, so we'll release all the evidence, like show us everything, right? And that's kind of what Congress is asking for right now. And I showed you guys different opinions of what Hegseth did. Showed you from someone who was a JAG, which matters. Let's read some more of what Hegseth says. He says, our current operations in the Caribbean are lawful, according to Hegseth, under both U.S. and international law, with all actions in compliance with the law of armed conflict and approved by the best military and civilian lawyers up and down the chain of command. This still doesn't address that specific thing like, you already fired on a boat, there's 2 survivors, they're defenseless effectively. Why are you shooting it again, right? And theoretically, just for example, they could have just taken a prisoner and like gotten intel from said people. Like if this is a serious thing and you want to figure out, okay, what's going on, take them in for questioning, that kind of thing. Our warriors in Southcom put their lives on the line every day to protect homeland and narco-terrorists, and I will always have their back. Like it doesn't exactly address that. And I'll just say this, guys, the stuff that's going on right now in U.S. culture, people who say support Hegseth still, it just reveals a real dark side and bloodthirsty part of America. And I'm just being frank with you guys. It's ugly to see. It's ugly to talk about, but you do want to talk about what's happening. And let me show you some more. So this is from Senator Andy Kim. Senator Kim says, reminder that shortly after ordering these strikes, Hegseth removed the press corps, right? Hegseth is like, don't want reporters. Remember, they wanted people to sign a loyalty thing, if you guys remember this, right? So Hegseth removes the press corps from the Pentagon, and the South Command Commander overseeing operations in the Caribbean unexpectedly announced he is stepping down 2 years before his term is up. What we are seeing is almost certainly just the tip of the iceberg. And that's a big one for me, right? If like the top commander in that region is like, doesn't want to be a part of the stuff, and we'll see if he comes forward and, says something that he knows, but yeah, step down. And his term wasn't up. It's like 2 years left on that. Here's some more. This is from Ryan Goodman, and I'll just show you guys. This is a chaired professor of NYU law, right? So knows the law very well. Says, textbook war crime / extrajudicial killing. Quote, 2 survivors were clinging to the smoldering wreck. The Special Operations Commander overseeing the September 2nd attacks ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. That's coming from a law professor, right? Here's someone else, Richard Painter, and I'll just show you. So this is a law professor, also former White House ethics lawyer, right? Did this for a couple of years, an ethics lawyer for the White House, right? This is murder on the high seas. U.S. military carried out a second strike, killing survivors on suspected drug boat that had already been attacked, sources say. Let me show you a bit of a discussion that they had. Just you can hear a couple different versions of this, and let's watch.
In the end, I want to go back to something that Bakari said. He said that those orders that were given the drug boats in Venezuela were illegal. Can you cite those statutes, please?
Yes, because it's actually called the Due Process Clause of the United States of America. Because can you point to one of those boats that actually had drugs on them? Do you know that? Do you know about the Trinidadians who were killed innocently, who were just fishermen? Can you actually kill those fishermen without due process? So the answer to the question is yes. I can cite the Constitution, just as Scott did.
If you go and say that those were members of Al-Qaeda or ISIS coming to our shores with enough drugs or enough ammunition to kill 100,000 Americans, wouldn't you expect our commander-in-chief to take action to stop that? That's what's happening here. That is what's happened, by the way. That's what happens in every war zone, whether you go to Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia. Go there. Let's talk about it.
Give me one name of one individual that you can compare to Al-Qaeda coming through that had enough fentanyl to kill all these Americans. Can you name one?
Let's go to what these drug boats are talking about, which is that we are actively ensuring that the war on drugs that we've been doing for 50 years.
So I just wanted you to see a little bit of that because I think this really exposes how none of us honestly know who's on these boats or what's on these boats because they're killing people and destroying all the evidence, right? Either side. That's what I wanted to show you. And I think that's a reasonable question. Like she's saying, oh, wow, they're just bad people. And if they're bad people, shouldn't we just, kill everybody? That's kind of what she's getting at. And that's Stephen Miller's wife, if you don't know. But I think a reasonable person would be like, because this is just reasonable person, right? Okay, so who's on these things? I think that's a reasonable question to ask. And if you want to get into the other stuff of like, doesn't matter who's on it, right? They're defenseless, don't shoot. That's what that's why I show you guys the JAG opinion. That's why I show you different opinions. Here's one of the, Trumpy, Elon Musky kind of people. I want to give you different opinions just so you can see how unfortunately ugly this stuff is. Hegseth, kill them all, okay? The first Caribbean boat strike under Trump's new drug war crusade opened with the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth giving what officials say what was a blunt spoken directive, quote, kill them all. SEAL Team 6 hit the suspected drug boat off Trinidad with a missile, only to watch 2 men cling to the flaming wreckage, so the Special Joint Operations Commander ordered a second strike to finish them off. That's what you get for trafficking drugs. That's how they address this. I mean, this is, again, one of kind of the Trumpy right-wingy kind of accounts. They don't seem to deny it. They're just like, oh, yeah, kill more people. That's sort of how they're playing it. Here's Tim Pool. I just want you to get a different point of view on this stuff. So he says, quote, if Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and DOJ do not go after the people that are putting up these messages, this is the biggest, the most impactful escalation towards civil war we have ever seen in our generation, right? And this is billboards that allude to troops defying orders are illegal and must end. So here's the thing, and I've noticed a real pattern of argument that these people are making. This would be, people who support Hegseth or Trump or whatever. Whenever you bring this up, and this is the first video came out that said, do not follow illegal orders, okay? Which I think it's a very reasonable thing to say. It's what you should tell people, don't follow illegal orders. And the only people that get really, really mad would be like, hey, if I'm doing something illegal, like, are you calling me out? What's going on? And so what these Tim Pools, whoever these people are, they basically leave out the illegal part, and it's like, oh, you're just telling people not to follow Trump orders. You just hate Trump. You're just telling people not to follow Trump orders. You just hate Trump, right? No, like literally what people are saying is do not follow illegal orders. And it's not that complicated, really. And from their point of view, they'll say, well, no, you're just wrong. These are just bad people, right? And then that's why I showed the bit on CNN where it's like, okay, if they are bad people, show me who they are. Show us the evidence. Why are you destroying all said evidence? And even if you like have a chance to take someone in for questioning, why don't you take him in for questioning? Tell us everything that you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, all this thing it's pretty ugly. Let's be frank with you guys. This is Richard Blumenthal. He says, joined by all Democratic SASC members, I've called for public release of classified OLC legal opinion supposedly justifying these attacks. Because remember, Hegseth says, oh, it's legal up and down. So show us, right? Reviewing it last week, I was deeply dissatisfied and disappointed. Americans deserve to see it. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. And then you've got this. This is from Representative Castro. He says, Juan Orlando Hernandez was convicted by a jury of conspiring to traffic 400 tons of coke into the United States. Okay. The Justice Department estimated that this represents 4.5 billion doses of coke, and that he was at the center of one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. It's like basically a drug pin kind of guy. He is responsible for the deaths of countless American citizens and will now be pardoned by Donald Trump. Don't tell me Trump is killing people in boats in the Caribbean to stop drug trafficking. And like a lot of stuff that Trump does doesn't really make sense. But this is what Trump is like, not consistent. This is Senator Gutierrez is saying. Trump is bombing random boats in the Caribbean under the excuse that they're killing narcos, okay? Meanwhile, he is pardoning an actual drug kingpin. Our president is not a serious person. So that's what's going on. I personally think Hegseth is in real trouble if this Washington Post story turns out to be true. And I want to see more evidence on this stuff. I think it's a reasonable thing to say. And I want people to come forward to tell us what's going on. So that's my thoughts. I want to hear yours. And I'll catch you on the next video.